One. Hi, I'm Josh,
Hey, I'm Adrian,
and today we are back with more Big Brother Tea to Spill.
and today we are spilling on episode 12, which brings us to a veto competition between Whitney and Hannah, two nominations that we were expecting. We're waiting to see who the target was because last episode kind of left us kind of
Right.
in the air, wondering who the actual target is. This episode, like I
Yeah.
was expecting, does show who the target is. And then we go to see if nominations change. But to
Right.
start off our episode, like every other episode, it starts right after a ceremony. This one started right after the nomination ceremony. Right away, we hear from Whitney. Whitney is starting to feel like she was blindsided by the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also hear from Hannah. Hannah, at the end of the episode last on Sunday, Hannah was saying that she was going to come after Christian because he nominated her. This
Right.
episode, she's saying that she's only going to go after him if Christian makes her a target, which she's flopping now. She's going back and forth on the decisions. Like I know that she's saying I'm in confessionals, but I don't like that she's flip flopping.
Did we talk about that on the last episode about how she went on up to the HOH room and she was talking to Christian and she was able to convince him to like not target her? Like I think it was like towards the end.
Yeah, we did talk about it, but I don't really think he convinced her. She was trying to convince him not to put her up, which he did anyways. So it kind of didn't work.
True.
Now she's working on not becoming the target.
Right.
So by this point, we know Hannah's going to come after Christian if he makes her a target, which we still at this point of the episode, it's still really early. We don't know.
Right.
The episode doesn't really have many one-on-one talks. It doesn't really have much of information, but we do see Sarah Beth continuing to fight for Hannah to be the target because Hannah sees her as a threat. I guess they're like in the HOH room, they're all talking together. Not really much of a conversation going on other than Sarah Beth continuing to fight for Hannah. I think that's when Christian decides that Whitney is going to be the target. Just there's no explanation given as to why he originally chose her as target.
So one thing I wanted to kind of just, because I just thought about it right now, but with Sarah Beth, I love Sarah Beth and we both love Sarah Beth. Everybody loves Sarah Beth, but she is a little bit of she's starting to show a little bit of her like selfish ways in a sense, just because when she was pitching as to why Hannah should be the one that should be the target, she was kind of just mentioning like, I don't talk to Hannah. I don't feel comfortable with Hannah. So this is why I want to target Hannah. And it was all about her and it was just like not really about the team. And it was like, well, okay, but the way you're approaching it doesn't really ring well with others because you're making it seem like it's your goal to get rid of Hannah, not everybody else's goal. You probably have to go back into the episode and look at that, but that's kind of like the read that I got. And I was like, that's not really convincing, girl.
Maybe I just do like Sarah Beth a lot, that I didn't see that as a problem, because if we flip it, Tiffany is doing moves for herself too. The only difference is that Tiffany knows who to talk to get what she wants done. Sarah Beth does not do that. But Sarah Beth trusts her team. That's the problem.
That's the differentiating factor between them both is that Tiffany feels comfortable with a smaller group of people. Sarah Beth feels more comfortable with a bigger group of people. She feels comfortable with the whole alliance. And it's like, okay, that's good. You're building trust. But at the same time, Sarah Beth, I love her still. Don't get me wrong. I just don't feel like she has built a solid like final two with anybody. I could be wrong. I feel like she has like all of these people that she has like in her little like whatever like options, right? But she doesn't have like a solid like relationship with someone. At first it seemed like she did with like Kyland for a little bit, but then like it's kind of I haven't seen anything after that, so I don't know if she's close with I don't even know. like Tiffany, at least I feel like Tiffany is close with like Xavier and Kyland and even Derek X. Like I feel like she's close with people. So she trusts those people and then she like fills out the entire alliance. And I feel like Sarah Beth, because she's not close with anybody, she's not really like latching onto someone. And I feel like the best people that win this game are people that latch onto that one person until they don't need to anymore. Does that make any sense? I mean, like, if you guys both get to final two, okay, whatever, good job, congratulations, woo woo, whatever, you know. But if you don't have, like, if you lose that person, then okay, yeah, you readjust. But Sarah Beth doesn't have anybody. I can't think of anybody that she's like close to, and I think that's why. Okay, as I'm talking to myself, Sarah Beth feels threatened by Hannah because of that same reason. She even mentioned that she was like, Hannah's really close with certain people. She's close with Derek X. Now she's close with Xavier. Sarah Beth doesn't have that. She really doesn't.
Right.
So she might be a little bit in trouble. Like she is good with knowing how to read the house, but I think she's starting to notice. She's like, you know what, Hannah is building a strong relationship. She has two guys under her wing, kind of thing, and they're gonna back her up. Sarah Beth doesn't have that. Sarah Beth doesn't have anybody really, if you think about it.
Right, and that is a scary thing considering what happens later in this episode. A little fun fact that I kind of wanted to talk to you because you kind of touched the base on it a while ago. I don't know if you've noticed, but I follow the Big Brother official Facebook page. They do these little segments with the HOH called the HOH Hot Seat, where they ask them questions like in a video interview. One of his questions was who his biggest target is, or who his biggest competition is. And he answers Kyland, which I thought was kind of like,
who said that? Xavier?
Christian, because Christian's the HOH.
Oh,
and
sorry.
And then he got asked, who is your biggest ally? And you would think he would say Alyssa. However, he does
Xavier.
not. He says Tiffany.
Christian said that?
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, he names several people, but he says the one that he really considers more of an ally is Tiffany. And I'm just like, this throws everything for a loop because how did we get here?
Right. Are we missing something here? Like, are we wasting our time doing these videos because like we're like missing something here?
Right. Like, do we not have our accurate information?
We were like on the wrong show.
Right. And I was just like as you were talking about who he was like aligned with, I was just like, I need to tell him about that video that I saw. But yeah, weird. It was very definitely interesting. Very, very interesting. So whenever Christian decides that Whitney is going to be the target, we see two different things. We see one, Xavier very excited and he wants the conversation to kind of end because Christian already says Whitney's the target. Works great for Xavier. So he's like, okay, we need to stop talking. We need to move on. Then we have Sarah Beth really upset at the fact that Whitney's the target. And she starts questioning some of the people that are in the Cookout Alliance. I feel like Sarah Beth is going to figure this out super fast and she's going to use it to her advantage. I think she's starting to realize who's fighting for who's targeting for who.
You're right.
And it's going to come out.
Because she did say that. She was like, of course Xavier is going to want to back up Hannah. And then she was just like, she was talking about it and I was like, ooh, she's onto it. She's on. I'm telling you, she's a legend at this point. Like she's good. Like the fact that she can read so well into it, I'm like, I cannot hate on her.
I mean, she is doing mistakes. Don't get me wrong. She's doing mistakes because, like we said, she's being a little too vocal with a big group of people. She doesn't really have that final two. She is making mistakes, but she's also doing very good things. And I think this is why she's my favorite, because she is doing really good things.
And she acknowledges, you know, she did maybe go into like a little bit of a power trip to, like before the HOH or whatever, and she was like, I'm gonna go for Hannah and I'm gonna convince the people to go for Hannah or whatever. And then she kind of like backtracked a little bit. She's like, wait, hold on, maybe Hannah's not the one to go now. Maybe I need to wait a little bit because I don't. And she even said, she's like, I don't want to push too much because I don't want them to think that I'm like trying to target her in a way. Like I'm just gonna like back up a little bit. And she did. So like that to me is smart. and mature. Because let's face it, when you get a power trip, you kind of just want to like bulldoze to everything and just get your way. You know what I mean? And she had a moment of she felt like confident, like she was like, I can manipulate everybody here and I can get my way. And for a certain extent, she was getting that. And we still don't know. Maybe like tomorrow, I don't know. I haven't watched the live feeds, but maybe tomorrow she'll be able to change them back to get rid of Hannah. I don't know. But the fact that she even got Hannah up there, hey.
Right, because she does say that. She does say that she doesn't want to push too hard because she's going to put a target on her back. We see her back off. But this happens towards the end of at the very last few seconds of the episode. She does an interview, or she goes to the DR, and she says, now the game has really begun and who the target is, because she's still going to target Hannah. So like you said, I haven't seen the live feeds. We don't know really what's going to happen tomorrow. Is she going to make herself a target, or is she going to get what she wants? That's the question for tomorrow.
Like the fact that she even said like the game has officially begun. It's like the game has officially begun. Like I think, who was it? Was it Whitney? I think it was Whitney the last episode. She was like, it's going to be so tricky because the first 3 evictions, like we all had a common target that we wanted to get rid of. But this week, none of us know where it's going to go. And I was like, yeah, it's about to get really interesting. And like, okay, I just have to throw it out there. I really don't want Whitney to go home. I really do not. Like, I like her. Like, I would much rather. It makes me kind of sad. Cause I'm like, why are you there? And I kind of wanted to just go over it a little bit. I'm like, why are you guys targeting her? Like, what is she? What makes her a threat? I mean, I can see what.
She's target because of the cookout. See, and this is why I want Whitney to stay, because I want the cookout. After what we spoke about last episode, I want the cookout to break apart. I'm not really liking. I was liking the Cookout Alliance at the beginning. Now I'm not really liking the cookout, and now she's a target because of the cookout.
It just doesn't make sense that they would. I mean, why would Christian and Alyssa be the ones to want to do like the cookout's dirty work though? That's the thing that I'm having trouble with. Like, there's a lot of like different factors into this. Like, you know, you have Xavier who's pushing for a certain way. You have Alyssa. As much as I love Alyssa, and you're probably gonna like laugh at this, whatever. I feel like Alyssa's a little bit jealous of Whitney.
No,
because Alyssa is a little bit jealous of Whitney.
For what?
Why is Alyssa targeting her? What's the reason why she's targeting her? There's no reason. Alyssa's not part of the
because they're targeting the ace players. In the mind of Alyssa and Christian, they are not going to go after the jokers because they don't. And they're just targeting the players from the aces.
Then why not target Derek? Because they're not lying. Like, okay, this is where it gets really messy, and I'm like, because you have to be strategic. And I don't see Whitney as a strategic player to kick out. I just don't see it. Like, she's good socially, and she might be okay, like, competition-wise. But if I was going to target someone from that little group, I would go for Derek X. Why are you not going for Derek X? Like, Derek X is obviously, like, a big player in competitions. Why are you going for someone that hasn't really won anything, only won, like, one challenge? Like,
right. And Alyssa and Christian notice that. They see that because Christian acknowledges it later in the episode. However, they are not targeting him because he's part of the alliance. They don't have in their mind, they don't have a lot of options. They know they don't want to go for the jokers, and they know that they can go for Derek X. So it leaves two people left, Whitney and Hannah. Unfortunately, Xavier and the cookout had a lot to do with making Whitney a target, and it's very unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate because they were going to compare, like, what is it called, like oranges to apples or apples to oranges. Like, Hannah is definitely stronger than Whitney when it comes to the social game and potentially like the competition piece of it, just because we don't know Hannah. I don't know Hannah. Like, I wish I knew her a little bit better, like, from what I've seen. I feel like I know Whitney a little bit better. Like, I feel like Whitney has been more vulnerable. She's been more open. Even like, was it Alyssa that said like, Whitney's more easily manipulated or whatever? And it's like, okay, yeah. That's another reason why you shouldn't be getting rid of her. If you feel like she's just gonna vote with y'all, why are you getting rid of her?
Right.
Get rid of this bigger person. It's stupid.
I think that what kind of hurts her in this episode is the fact that she's lying, because she does openly express to the Aces, which Derek F is in the Aces, that she wants to target Christian and Alyssa. She vocally says that. And it gets back to Christian, and Christian asks her, and she lies. Obviously, you're going to have to lie. You're not going to tell the HOH, hey, yeah, I did say I'm going to target you.
Right.
But they know, and unfortunately, that's what's hurting her. And I think that's another reason why they are targeting her, because she did mention their names. I mean, it's an unfortunate series of events that led her to this point. And I mean, as much as I don't want Whitney to go, unless Sarah Beth does some magic, it's looking like we might see Whitney be evicted, unfortunately. And I'm shocked to say that, because I would normally, at the beginning of the season, I would be very ecstatic right now. But no, I'm not like that right now. I'd rather see Hannah go, because she's part of the Cookout Alliance, and I'm ready to see it gone. Now, let's put it out there. Hannah is a part of the Cookout Alliance, but she's at the very bottom of that alliance, so she's not going to last long anyways. So why not just get rid of her now?
Right? Exactly. I don't know what Xavier's obsession with protecting her is. I think it's kind of stupid on his end, honestly, too, because this is the thing, and this is where it becomes kind of interesting, because like, you're gonna kind of start seeing who the strategic players are and who like the emotional players are. Xavier, Azal, who else can I think of? Maybe Alyssa, maybe Christian. Those are the emotional players. Those go like by their instinct. Like, Alyssa's like emotional. Christian is too. Oh, she's targeting me, I'm gonna get rid of her. And then like Xavier's too, like trying to protect Hannah. You know what I mean? Hannah is a very strategic player. She like, I don't want to say anything about her, but she has like no emotion. She's like a void of emotions. Like, she's like, I'm here to play a game. I'm here to survive. Fuck emotions. Fuck connections. I'm here to win. And okay, kudos to you, girl. That's good. That's the way you should play the game. But if I was in that house, I'd be like, this girl isn't making any like strong connections. She doesn't actually like feel like I'm gonna target the emotional bonds or whatever like that. She's just thinking strategically. Strategically, on paper, Hannah should be the one to go, not Whitney, because she's stronger. But because these people are so caught up in their emotions and who they want to protect and blah, 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 it's like they want to get rid of Whitney, even though she's not really a target.
Right.
It's kind of stupid, honestly, but what can you do? Kevin is being really smart. He's just kind of like, we'll go through the rankings, because there's some people that just kind of like just faded into the background this week.
Right. So speaking of having no emotion, we reach a point in time in the episode, which is where we see Whitney. They're all in the living room, and Whitney is kind of like caressing Xavier's hand, and we see Azal kind of giving like a dirty look. This is when we find out Azal has Azza, I keep pronouncing her name wrong. Azza has a crush on Xavier. And she goes with this revelation so wrong. She takes him to the room and she acts like a little girl, and she's like, oh my God, I have a crush on you. And I get so jealous of other people. And at the same time, we see Xavier go like, what? Like trying to brush it off, like not interested. He seems not interested at all. And he's weird to me, because he is an emotional player. Even before this conversation, he had a conversation with Whitney in the room, and to see how she felt about being nominated. He is an emotional player. But then he goes to the DR and he's like, I'm here to play a game and I'm here to win $750,000. You don't show that though, because a player who's here to play for this money would play like Alyssa. Like Hannah.
Okay, but let's keep in mind though, Xavier is a player in every sense of the word. He is playing these girls. I'm telling you, he's like the male version of Alyssa. Like, he is like, apparently he's playing Whitney. we kind of guessed, or I kind of guessed. He's apparently playing Azal. I did not know that. And then now he's sort of playing Hannah a little bit. Like he is, these girls are like all like, oh yeah, Xavier, he is amazing. And it's like, he's just working it to his favor. I can't blame him for that. That's why he's the rankings have like they've changed my perspective on him. Like I can't hate him for that. Like he's doing to what he does best. Like that's fine. Like that's just his strengths.
I mean, we think differently, I guess, but it's okay. So now we know Ozza has a crush on Xavier. So then we start going into the veto possibilities. Derek X wants to win the veto to change the noms because he wants to keep both Hannah and Whitney safe. So I think he's kind of leaning more into wanting to stay with the two girls versus the royal flush at this point. And then we have Azza, on the other hand, wanting to win veto to leave the nominations the same because she's jealous of Whitney and wants to see her get evicted. So Hannah goes up to Derek X and asks him, hey, if I get house guest choice, would you be comfortable playing if I pick you in playing and taking me off, which he agrees to, obviously. And then we see that exact scenario happen. Hannah gets house guest choice, chooses Derek X. So Derek X is playing the veto. This pisses Whitney off because she knows at that point Derek X is going to take Hannah off and it's going to leave me on the block. So now she's completely unknown and she knows that. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like this whole episode is just unfortunate for Whitney. Nothing is going her way, including this veto comp, because this veto comp, Whitney bombs it. Like it, I mean, the veto comp, it doesn't seem so complicated. I'm not playing it, nor have I played a game similar to it, so I don't know how it goes. But it doesn't look that hard. It looks tiring, but it didn't look too hard. And she just was not doing great at all. Like at all. So we see the veto competition go out. Derek X, Christian are neck and neck the whole time. Ultimately, Christian, the HOH, wins veto. We know what's going to happen now. Veto, the noms are going to stay the same.
I just think it's weird.
And this is my prime example. You were like, I love the veto episode because
I do love the veto,
so much scheming happens. This is the time of the episode where where I would have been like, this episode was a waste of my time because nothing really happened.
Well, okay, but imagine if Whitney would have won. Had Whitney won, it would have been like a complete shit show. Everybody would have been freaking out. Like they wouldn't know who to put up. Like the only reason why it was like blah is because Christian won. Christian probably wasn't. Christian isn't that kind of person. He already made those nominations. He's not going to change them. It is what it is. He's not that kind of player. He's not going to switch it up. Had I been the HOH and won power veto too, I would have probably been like, you know what? I'm okay with Whitney. Let me take out Whitney and I'll put someone else up. That's what I would have done. But he is Christian, so he's not going to do that, and that's why it's boring.
Right. I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from, but episodes where the nominations don't change, I feel like it was just a waste of my hour. However, this episode does show a little bit different because now this is where I get opinions. Because if you remember my rankings from previous episodes, I've been switching Sarah Beth and Tiffany from 1 to 2 because they're both doing great. Now I have a situation because Tiffany expresses her opinions on Sarah Beth, and it's looking like Tiffany is going to target Sarah Beth, which is very bad for my rankings list because you can't go after Sarah Beth.
Let's put it out there. I mean, come on, like, okay, like, can we agree on something here? Like, we both like Sarah Beth more than we like Tiffany, right? Like I love Sarah Beth. Don't get me wrong. The only reason why she switches around is because of Kyland or Alyssa or whatever. But if I have to choose between Sarah Beth and Tiffany, I'm choosing Sarah Beth.
Right.
1,000%.
Same.
Yeah. So
right.
seeing
so this
that
is why
Tiffany
I'm
wants
like,
to
Tiffany is not. I was mad the whole time that I was hearing this conversation. I'm like, how dare you come
Right.
after Sarah Beth? How? And then what's scary about it is that it's Tiffany. When Tiffany gets a target in her head, this person leaves. Now, let's talk about these targets, because a few episodes ago, she was targeting Brent, and she told the cameras, Whitney is next. Who is about to get evicted? Whitney. So the fact that this episode, Tiffany says that she's targeting Sarah Beth scares me to death, because Sarah Beth is not only in the Kings Alliance that has all 4 people, but Tiffany's targeting her, and everybody's gonna gun for the Kings. And I feel like Tiffany might have a big leverage to put Sarah Beth on the block, and I'm not ready to see that. I'm not ready
I don't
to
think
see
so.
that at all.
I don't think so. I disagree. I disagree with that because I think Tiffany is, yes, she did have predictions. She did have a way of saying who she wanted next, whatever. She's not at that point where she can get rid of Sarah Beth yet. Because Sarah Beth, like if she puts up Sarah Beth or whoever puts up Sarah Beth, I think it's gonna be really shocking. I think, and I just don't think that she is at that point to really get rid of her. She can try, but it's not gonna work. And if it does work, it's gonna if she tries, it's gonna create chaos. And I don't think she's ready for that because she's saying Whitney, like, unfortunately, as much as I love Whitney, Whitney is not socially as strong as like Sarah Beth. It really just comes down to like the influence that you have in the house. Whitney unfortunately doesn't have the influence. As much as I love her, she doesn't have the influence to call the shots. She really doesn't. Like, I wish she did, but she does not. And Sarah Beth does. Sarah Beth is in a strong alliance. She's still with the winning group. If Tiffany wants to come for her, she can, but it's gonna create like war. Like, I don't even think Alyssa.
You do have a point there.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
You have a point because I don't think the Royal Flush is going to turn on themselves this quickly, and Sarah Beth is part of the Royal Flush, so she does have some type of protection. It's just the fact that Tiffany is targeting her that scares me.
But see, the thing with Tiffany, though, again, Tiffany likes to think way ahead. She's not thinking like 1 week ahead. She's thinking like 3 weeks ahead. Maybe in 3 weeks, maybe things will change, and then maybe she'll be like, okay, I feel comfortable with targeting Sarah Beth now. Next week, I don't see it. I really don't see. There's still some other fish to fry before Sarah Beth, and if that's even the case, like, Sarah Beth is still up top to make it to final for me. I don't see her being a target. I think if anything, Tiffany, as much as I like her, I think that Tiffany is gonna self-destruct in the game a little bit, just because it's gonna get to her. She's gonna try to like push too hard. I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, she is building that connection with Hannah, so she has that ally, but I don't know. Okay, hold on. Give me one. So Tiffany is she's good. I just feel like she's kind of like, I don't know.
It's just scary. It's scary for me, just because Sarah Beth can't touch the block just yet. You have a point. She has some protection, so for now, we'll see where it goes. It's just still in the back of my head. But moving on with the episode, at this point, we know nominations have still have a balance. We know who won the veto. Veto hasn't been used or not used. Then something interesting happens. Some of the Royal Flush people are sitting in the room, and Whitney is gathering up her dirty clothes to go do some laundry. And she overhears Derek X talking about slap and who should be on half knots for the next week. And he says, oh, well, me and Hannah will be the have nots for next week. And Whitney hears this. And it upsets Whitney, because at that point he knows, Derek X knows that she's going to go home. So we see a little switch in Whitney, and Whitney's like, I'm gonna try to blow up Derek X's game, which I commend her on doing so.
Yep.
But what she doesn't know is that he's part of this big alliance. So even though she tried and she did talk to Christian and she's like, hey, he has a whole bunch of comp wins. He knows what he's doing. He's a
Mm-hmm.
competitive player. It catches Christian's mind. Like he knows he's something that he's
Right.
aware of. But he's part of this big alliance and it wasn't going to change anything. But it was really nice to see.
See, and this is where it sucks because it's like, this is where like Big Brother gets really interesting because it's like, had Whitney won HOH, Veto, she would have been like solid. It would have switched up the game. It would have just been like a whole different story. But because she did not win, then it just solidifies her as the evictee. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to do that, but this is where Big Brother legends are born. You know what I mean? Like when you're on the block, when your ass is like about to go home, like you need to win if you want to stay in the game. Because if you don't win, you can try to flip votes, and sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't work. So it's like you just kind of have to like do with what you have. And like Whitney unfortunately did not win that, and like now it seems like everybody's just kind of like, okay, she's gonna go. I still don't understand it. I don't agree with it, but at the end of the day, like they're in the house, we're not. So they feel like she's a threat and she should go. I don't know who they're helping, honestly, with that, but they're helping someone. And I'm like, I don't even know who it is. But and again, it takes me back to Alyssa because Alyssa was the first one to bring up Whitney's name. So maybe it's helping Alyssa. Who knows? I don't know.
So we move a little bit further. The veto meeting happens, and it's when we see Christian decides that even though Whitney brought up some good points, he's not going to use the power of veto, leaving the nominations the same.
Yeah.
And then we just see like their exit, like their ending interviews where we find out that Sarah Beth is still going to gun for Hannah. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I kind of expected the nominations to stay the same. When I found out Christian won the veto, at this point, unfortunately, I'm going to make my prediction that Whitney is going to be evicted tomorrow. As far as HOH nomination, unfortunately do not know. We do know that this episode is.
I unfortunately
endurance.
do not know.
I hope you enjoy that donut. But we do know that this episode, that tomorrow is in the first endurance competition of the season. So now that I'm glad I remember that, because now I feel like Christian can't win. So I'm thinking Derek X is going to win HOH.
Finally. So that's going to be chaos. Because, okay, if you think about it, Derek X is the bottom one of that group. So if he wins, he's going to be like, maybe it's time to break up this line.
He wants to target the Kings, which is scary for Sarah Beth.
Do it. He's not going to target Sarah Beth. He's going to target Christian and Alyssa. Like, I mean, come on, like Christian and Alyssa, like they're like big, like they're like a big duo.
I hope so.
I don't like. Again, look at Kylan. Kylan is like, ooh, where's Kylan? He's asleep. He's doing so good right now. He's just taking his little nap.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Derek X is gonna be HOH next.
Same. Yep. I mean, Alyssa still has a chance. Like, we'll go down the rankings, I guess. Because I want to surprise a little bit. But yeah.
Okay. I unfortunately forgot to do my list, so go ahead and do your list while I work on mine.
Okay. So my bottom one.
We have 14 people, right?
13. So the bottom one of my list is going to be Hannah. I mean, I'm sorry, Hannah. I was so used to saying Hannah. It's Claire. Claire,
At the bottom of your list?
Claire's boring me. Like, I'm just bored of Claire, honestly. Like, I wish that she would be more entertaining. Like, she just, I don't see her as a winner, so I'm just kind of like bored of her. Like, she has nothing to bring to the table. I wish she did, but she just doesn't have anything. Like, she won, okay, one competition. She's in jury. Okay, cool. Congratulations. I'm just like bored of her. It sucks, but it is what it is. After that, I have Brittany. Brittany again goes back and forth, just depends on the week. And then I have Hannah. Hannah, I'm still trying to like Hannah, but she's just not my. I think, okay, you know what I don't like about her? She has like these two little like bang things on the side, and she just like, and she puts it like, I'm like, girl, we're not in the 90s. Girls don't put little bangs on the side anymore. Like, that's not a thing anymore. Like, maybe you'll bring it back, but it's not a thing right now, and it's not cute. And I'm just like, I don't. It just makes you look like a bitch, and I don't like it. Like, you're trying to be cool, and I'm like, ugh. And then I have Azar. Azar just continually becomes a disappointment just because of how she is. I'm pretty sure she's a cool girl outside of the game, but just in the game, she's just not doing her best. She's a disappointment. And then I have Derek F, and then I have Derek X, which is kind of like,
why so low?
I don't know. I just, because he's not able to save the two girls, I'm a little bit disappointed. Like, I kind of wish that he would have like won Veto and then saved one of them and then maybe saved the other girl. But since he didn't, it kind of just disappoints me. I'm just a little bit salty because he could have saved Whitney, but he didn't. So yeah. And then I have Christian. Christian moved up a little bit. Honestly, Christian's like slowly moving up just because he's winning comps. He got himself a showman. He kind of got himself a bromance with Xavier. Like, the dude's good. I keep saying that. Like, I'm like, he's good. Like, there's no one, like, literally no one's talking about Christian. Like, even next week, like, no one's talking about him. Like, no one's saying like he has to go. Like,
No, I differ on that. If Derek X wins HOH, which he has a good chance, he already voiced his opinion of wanting to go against the Kings. And I feel like we might see Alyssa or Christian on the block if he wins.
that's if he wins. If he doesn't win, though, besides Derek X, I don't really see anybody else targeting him.
That you do have a point.
So it really just, like, when you resort to one person, it's really tough because I resorted to Whitney. Like, I really wanted Whitney to get Veto because I thought that was like her only option, and it was, and she didn't win, and now she's going home, which sucks, you know. But so after Christian, I have Whitney because I'm just kind of hoping that maybe she'll like turn it around a little bit, but I don't think she will. This is probably gonna be like the first eviction that I'm gonna be like, I'm sad because I really wanted Whitney to go further than that because like Whitney is a great person. I like her. Other than that, after that I have Xavier, just because Xavier kind of like Christian, like they worked themselves up the social ladder a little bit. So like they're not really being looked at right now. They're just kind of just there. And then I have Alyssa. Alyssa moved down a little bit because I kind of wanted Alyssa to get her way in getting rid of Hannah because she started with Whitney. Like, she started targeting Whitney at first, and you know that was the target. But then she kind of switched it up a little bit when she was talking to Sarah Beth, and now they wanted to get rid of Hannah. But then she saw that she was not getting her way, so then she kind of switched it back to Whitney, which is good. But I kind of wanted to see maybe Alyssa's like manipulation skills a little bit, like to see like, okay, can she switch it back to Hannah and like maybe get her way? Because you know at the beginning of the HOH, people were like, oh, even we were like this is Alyssa's HOH, it's not Christian. So it was like,
right.
But then Christian kind of proved that, okay, you know what, this is my HOH. I want Whitney out, Hannah. So it just kind of shows like Alyssa doesn't have as much power as we thought. So it kind of puts her down a little bit. The one that went up a little bit was Tiffany, because Tiffany does have influence for sure. She has a lot of influence and it's impressive. And she's a contender to win, even though she's not my favorite. Even though she's going against Sarah Beth, she does have influence. And then I have Sarah Beth after that because Sarah Beth moved back to second place.
Well, that's good.
Just because I do like Sarah Beth, and I like when they're targeting her, and I don't like that Tiffany's like saying that she's a threat and all this stuff. I'm like, no. Sarah Beth is, yeah, she is a threat, but don't target her. She's still a contender to be up there. She just had a weak. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't her best moments, but she's still good. And then I have Kylan at the top because Kylan is like untouchable right now. No one's even thinking about Kylan. Honestly, no one even in that house is thinking about nominating Kylan. So like that to me is impressive. Like he has no one even mentioning his name. So
you have a point there. You really do have a good point. So I'm gonna start with my list, and there's some shocking things on my list. I'm gonna start at the bottom. My bottom person did not change. It is Derek F. If anything, Derek F could move further down the list if it was possible. I'm not feeling Derek F. His vibe, his energy that he gives off, it's not for me. Right above him is Azza. Same. From what we're seeing from her, it's just not. I'm not liking it. I'm not vibing. Moving up a little bit, we have Hannah. She's already rubbed me the wrong way. I kind of want to see her evicted. So that's why she's at the bottom. Then we have Brittany. Brittany used to be at the bottom. And now that she's not crying all the time, like I feel like, okay, I can see her good sides.
Right.
Then I have Claire. Just because what I've seen from her, yeah, she has that safety, like you mentioned, but it's not really doing much. Like that power could have gone to somebody else who really deserved it. She was just fortunate enough to win it. Then we have Alyssa and Christian. Right above that, these two, I keep them close to each other because they're working together. They are on the showman, so I kind of associate them together a lot. And I put them in the middle because Christian is still doing pretty well. Then I have Xavier. Xavier stayed the same, although I did struggle with Xavier a little bit because he's starting to like show some signs that I do not like. My fifth position is where it gets interesting. I have Tiffany as my number 5. Her targeting Sarah Beth had a lot to do with her moving down. My number 4 is also very shocking. It's Whitney. She used to be at the very bottom. I was not liking her. I do not want her to leave. I feel bad for her. She's being targeted for no wrong reasons, so that's why she's 4. Third place, I have Derek X. I do like him. I enjoy watching him on the screen. I think he's a competitor. I feel like he can do great things. Then I have Kylan. Like you said, Kylan's not really being looked at by anybody. He just doesn't deserve first more than him.
Sorry, you broke up there. So he doesn't deserve what?
He doesn't deserve first place because Sarah Beth deserves it.
Of course. We're fighting between Sarah Beth and Kylan, huh?
Right.
That's kind of shocking that you got Derek X up there, though. Yeah. I mean, that's the point of the ranking.
Yeah.
It does suck that Whitney's gonna go. I think this will definitely be the toughest eviction for sure because I really do love Whitney. I'm like, I don't want her to go, but like if I was there, I would be campaigning the fuck out of her. I'd be like, you know what, Whitney has to stay. Like this is why Hannah has to go. She's a shady bitch. Like she has to fucking go. But
they're gonna get home and they're gonna watch these episodes and they're gonna be like, you know what, we messed up on evicting Whitney.
So dumb. I don't even know how they don't see it. Like Whitney's not a threat right now. Like she might be a threat later, but I'm just like, I don't see her as a threat right now. Like she's just chilling, She voted with y'all to get rid of fucking brands. Like what? Whatever. I mean, I don't even know what she has to do to prove herself, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but for now we have our 4th live eviction tomorrow.
Yep.
So we'll see how it is. Unfortunately, we both agree that Whitney is probably going to be voted out, unfortunately. But who knows? I still have my girl Sarah Beth fighting for her. So we'll hope that she made some moves. But for now,
Right.
I mean, I think that's just where we stand.
Yep. So we'll see next time, and then we'll kind of go from there, I guess.
Yep.
Alrighty. Till next time.
Till next time.